Over the past few months, I have declared all-out war against the clutter. But when I started, I truly was so unprepared for what decluttering would actually be and how dealing with my foolishness would change my life. But now I can share with you the things that I wish I had known. Welcome back, my friends, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Christy, and I make content centered around realizing no matter where we are in life, no matter our age, we are just on time to live the life of our dreams. And back in September, I decided that my dream life included being completely organized. I dream of organization. And so I dove head first into all things decluttering, cleaning, organization, all of it. While I've never considered myself a hoarder, I realized that I have kept on to way too many things that just no longer serve me. And even though I've been on this decluttering journey, I also don't consider myself a minimalist, because while I probably am getting it wrong, I feel like the idea of minimalism is to find joy in having as little as possible. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. I just know me. I like things. I like pretty decor. I like buying new things. I like having a refrigerator full of options. I like having a few more clothes and shoes than I actually need, and the ability to switch between different lotions and makeup products and perfumes and finding something that may not necessarily be vital, but it brings me joy. However, my goal with decluttering is to no longer be wasteful, to not have things that are around me that don't serve any purpose, that don't bring me joy, that don't do anything for me or for our home. I want to actually use what I have before it gets bad and enjoy every part of my life. And so I am just so done having things stashed away that I don't get any use out of. Through this journey, I have learned a lot of things, but today I'm going to share with you my top 5. So I have my coffee and I have my water, and let's get cozy for a chat. So the first thing that I've learned is that it takes time and it's a process. I originally thought that I could declutter everything in a month. I did a whole video about it with my plan and all the things that I was going to do. And as I started, a month came and went and everything was not fully decluttered. In hindsight, I realized that that was really quite naive of me, because I thought that since my home is typically clean on the surface, like the counters are clean, you never see anything out, it is never going to be a visible mess. I thought that that would then translate to how long that it would take to declutter. But between work and life and everything in between, and realizing that there were years of clutter, years of things that I hadn't really dealt with, that I put away in these pretty bins for me to not have to see and not have to deal with, that it was just going to take quite a bit longer. If you have built up either months or years of just stuff that you haven't dealt with, it's probably not going to be an overnight process that's going to magically just happen. So if you don't know my story, my husband and I, we got married almost 2.5 years ago, and we didn't live together beforehand. We were both fully grown people with full houses of stuff. We have beds and couches and pots and pans and utensils and all of the things. It just got to a space of we don't actually have space for all of our stuff. Plus, we have a style that we're wanting to create together for our own marriage. And that means letting things go so that we can make room for the new things that we want. Also, so that we can make room for all of the things that we know that God wants to do and the blessings that He wants to give us. So that meant letting go of stuff. And so a few months ago, it was like, yeah, I gotta get rid of it. Also, we are moving in a little over a month, which we knew back then. And we were both committed that we're not taking all of this old stuff into our new space. And the only way to ensure that we don't do it is to deal with it now and to get rid of the things that just don't belong with where it is that we're trying to go. It takes time to sort through things, pulling stuff down, determining what it is, determining where it needs to go, if you need it. If I need it, why do I need it? If I don't need it, where to get rid of it. And realizing that it's okay to let go of things that at one point actually did have some value and actually did serve a purpose, but now doesn't anymore. And that leads me really nicely into my next point, which is that it will challenge your mindsets. Getting rid of things not only takes time, but it is also an emotional journey as well. We don't realize how much we have grown attached to things and how those things can be a reflection of who we are and how we feel about ourselves in different areas. There are things that I've held on to that were physical reminders of a past that no longer fits who I am emotionally, physically, mentally, any of the ways. And then there were things that I held on to them that when I looked at them and when I finally dealt with them, I realized that they made me feel bad about myself or made me feel like I wasn't good enough in certain areas, like clothes that are too small and that I don't actually want to wear again. And instead of being a motivation, they made me feel like crap because I couldn't fit them. Or things that I bought and never used because in my head, I was saving them for a special occasion, which I call this save it for later mindset. But that special occasion and that later never came, and it just ended up being stuff that was collected and accumulated. And I realized that I was constantly in this mental space of waiting rather than enjoying and romanticizing my life right now. Getting rid of the things that weren't for me and actually starting to use and put on display the things that I had been saving for later was so freeing, and also such a confidence boost because I no longer had physical reminders of these old mindsets that I had grown from, or at least that I was working to grow from. It will bleed into other aspects of your life. As you go throughout a decluttering journey, you may find that you are less willing to allow clutter in other areas of your life. For example, when I started my decluttering journey, I realized that I was wasting so much time on trying to make my YouTube videos perfect through editing, through overthinking, through all of this stuff. But as soon as the decluttering mindset entered into my brain, it was like a switch turned on, and I was like, I am not wasting any more time on this. This is going to take this amount of time, and that's all I'm going to give to it. I have a husband, I have a job, I have church responsibilities, I have responsibilities to myself, and I don't have time to waste on things, to overthink on things. Getting rid of things and being decisive about just letting stuff go helped me to translate that or transfer that to other areas of my life where I didn't feel like I needed to overthink as much. And yes, I am still a bit of an overthinker. Like, that is a natural tendency that I have to work against, but I do it a whole lot less now. If you're someone who's prone to unforgiveness or to holding on to grudges, you may find that you're more willing to let those things go as you start letting go of physical things. If you're someone who procrastinates on things, you may find that you get to task a lot more quickly. I have said it so much and will shout it from the rooftops if I need to, but I feel like cleaning, decluttering, organizing, all of that is such a metaphor for life. I would love to know how it's impacted you in other areas of your life. Next thing I've learned is that it gets a lot more messy before it gets clean. There will be times as you are going through this decluttering journey, there were definitely times for me where I pulled stuff out and I was seeing it all over the floor, all over the bed, all over the couches, all over everywhere. And it was just like, why am I doing this? But that's okay. Remember that it is a process and you have to allow yourself to just sit with that. Look at all of that stuff. Look at all of the foolishness that you've collected that has been hidden away and the months or the years of crap that you haven't dealt with, and just take it all in. When you see all of that stuff that you've accumulated all over your floors, all over your counters, all over your couches, in bags that need to be thrown away or need to be donated, you will get to a point where you realize, I do not ever want to do this again. And then the other thing that I have learned is that you have to continually do it. Like, it has to be such a part of you. You cannot declutter once and think that it's over. So I feel like I've done a really good job with all of the big areas, but because I'm not a natural minimalist, I have to stay on top of it. There are spaces that I have already decluttered that I have to go through again because at the time I thought that I had whittled everything down, but now having some time and some space away from that moment, I realized that there are still things that I don't want them anymore. I'm not going to use them. And as Marie Kondo would say, they do not spark joy. And then as we are continually doing it, we have to make sure that there is a space for everything. Clutter accumulates when we don't have a designated area and space for everything that we allow into our homes. Because when we don't have a designated space for it, we end up bringing things in that we put in a place to deal with later, but then later never comes, and so we don't deal with it. So find a place for everything and deal with it pretty immediately. So those are the things that I have learned, and the decluttering journey continues. Like I said, I have some things that I do need to go back through, but I am so proud of how far I've come and the mindset to just let stuff go. I encourage you that if you are needing to declutter, just do it, because it will free you up so much. And yes, it will be a whole process, but stay focused and be patient with yourself. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, I would really appreciate it if you would give it a thumbs up, hit that like button, and I would really like to hear any tips that you have for decluttering that I may have missed. Also, if you're not subscribed, like, what are you doing? I'm gonna need you to jump on that. Alrighty, my friends, I love you, and I will see you in my next. Bye for now. Mwah.